on this, we are very much delighted to have with us via phone His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. A very good morning to you, Ambassador Bayoumi.
Good morning to you.
Sir, let's start immediately with the message sent by holding all these mega projects to the world first. Speaking about Egypt as the new Egypt, the new republic, the strategy of the state to have a new republic by the end of reaching 2030, we are going to be living in another republic, in another state, changing the image of life for the Egyptian people. Would you please elaborate?
Yes, of course, and I am happy to shed light on such very important projects because it gives our citizens a good idea how we are dividing our efforts in all fields. We are building in agriculture, in industry, services, name it, in all the sectors of our economy. Some people took wrongly the message saying that we are concentrating on building roads or building ports and so on. No, we are everywhere. And the challenge is that we want to cover our food gap and food security also by agriculture. We are rebuilding some very important industry in Egypt, like the textile industry and the yarn and the cotton industry in general. We are restoring also the good reputation of our industry in the field of the cotton industry. We are covering many new fields also, electricity, name it, weather power stations, the new power station, which is, some of them are the largest in the whole world. So the effort is everywhere, and as you said exactly, I hope that very soon we shall be a totally different economy, although we are facing some challenges like the negative effects on our economy because of the corona, because of the war in Ukraine. But thank God that we are doing fine, and we are doing all of the necessary efforts in order to keep our economy growing, in order to face the increase in our number of people also, because this is another challenge we are facing.
Yeah.
So tomorrow is better.
Inshallah. Sir, this is the panoramic view, if I may say so. Let's go from the general to the specific, and starting with creating or building new urban communities with all the facilities, with all the modern technologies, with taking care of digitalization. Digital Egypt is there, and taking into consideration that tomorrow is the tomorrow of the youth. And when it comes to youth and empowering youth, then it's digitalization, it's digital Egypt. How do you see, sir, the keenness of the state to build new smart cities as part of our national projects?
This is another field where we are making good success. And really I'm proud of our grandchildren. My consultant number one in my problems with my computer is my grandson, 17 years old, and you can see that this generation really is benefiting from this development. And now Egypt is exporting computer programs by billions of dollars. This is a very important sector because it creates many jobs, and it doesn't need a lot of capital. You don't need to invest a big sum of money. It's just a learning process, and it is inspiring our sons and grandsons to have their own projects and so on. So it makes our life much easier. With the touch of a button, you are spending money or getting, I don't know, merchandise, and you are paying your taxes, paying your invoices through the internet. So this is a new world which we are going to benefit also. A new life we can enjoy, of course, because of this new sector of our development.
Yes, sir, amen to that. To move to another side of the coin, which is opening new horizons of investments and to attract the private sector to have this what we call strategic partnership between the public and private sector. And here, since you mentioned power stations, for example, or investing in the field of energy, of renewable energy, of green hydrogen, how do you see opening new horizons or opening new fields, new markets, and to attract investors, whether direct or indirect investment, to invade these new horizons?
This is also a new attitude, which I am so happy about it, because here we are shedding light on the importance of the private sector, especially private sector coming from abroad, whether Egyptians living abroad or Arabs or international partners. Why? Because we need to increase our economy by at least 8%. Now we are around 5%. Why? Because we are increasing, and since the revolution of 2011, we increased by 28 million new children. We have to feed them, we have to educate them, we have to build new cities in order to give them housing and all these duties. And here we are making our efforts in any field you can imagine, especially housing, especially roads, and especially education, healthcare, name it. And of course, how to invest in new areas and to encourage new investors, especially the private sector.
Yes.
Some people who are devoting to the public sector and the government. No, I want to establish my own factory, my own small attic and so on. Go to the Japan of Egypt, which is Damietta, you know. I belong to Damietta. And the culture in Damietta that nobody would look for a government job. You know, everyone, he has his small carpenting shop, small mechanic shop, and so on. So this is the example we want to follow. And this will lead us, of course, to much better life, inshallah.
Inshallah. Sir, moving from this to also another important point which you have mentioned regarding the global challenges we are all witnessing. I mean, when it comes to 3 years of COVID, then followed by 1 year of the European conflict, the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, of course, those two files had and have, to be accurate, there are negative repercussions on the global economy, not only on certain area or certain people. But since we are witnessing the inauguration, for example, of the silos in Sadat city recently, of launching the huge mega projects of cultivating huge, vast lands, whether in Tushka or in New Delta, for example. How do you see going into all these directions at a time? I mean, if we have not started this earlier, I think it would have been so difficult for us to face the current challenges we are already facing these days.
Yes, because as you well know, the whole world, because of the corona epidemic and because of the war in Ukraine, the economies in the whole world are diminishing. No country is growing in this year, except very few countries. Egypt is among them. Why Egypt? Because, as you well said, we started our economic reform in November 2016, earlier than the two challenges started. So when the challenges came, of course, it affects us, but still we are in good stand and in a good position in order to face any challenge. So still we are growing. but we want to grow much more faster in order to cover the new life, in order to have a better life, in order to face the increase in our population number, and so on. So I am really glad that we are covering every single sector we are thinking. We are covering new areas like the solar energy, like the new energy by all means. Like
Green hydrogen, wind, solar, you name it. Sir, if you please,
yes.
I'd like to add to what you're saying, or to echo what you've kindly said. Yesterday, for example, there was an important meeting where President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi met with Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli and Dr. Yasmin Fouad, Minister of Environment, and they spoke in specific about the Egyptian natural reserves or protectorates, Nab, Ras Muhammad, Qubbat al-Hasana, you name it, scattered all over Egypt. Since we started of course earlier, launching our national mega projects, we are taking into consideration environment protection. We are taking into consideration to build on the positive results of the COP27. How do you see having all these things together? I mean, going with all these projects or all these developments hand in hand?
Yes, and the environment is affecting our life directly. We shall smell better air around us. We shall live easier. Housing is also a very important sector, and it's not far from your studios. Whenever we are passing by our car, passing by Maspero, new buildings. My goodness, this area was really shame on us. It is on the River Nile and one of the best areas in Cairo. Meanwhile, it was not as good as it should be. Now we have new buildings and the shape is very different. This is, I mean, we can continue giving example about our reform, and it's the goodwill of the Egyptian people. I admire our people, by the way, and this, our people is really more productive whenever they have the good leadership. And thank God we have the appropriate leadership now, working on all fields, and voila, here are the results. It's for our good future, for our children and grandchildren.
And this is also reflected in not only the mega projects in the industrial sector, but the industrial zones. The industrial zones now scattered all over Egypt, now having many forms or many types of industry, whether heavy industries, whether light industries, with the exchange of expertise between us and our brotherly nations or our allies. If you want to elaborate on that too.
Yes, by nature and by my birth city, I am fond of the small project, a project of 1 to 5 employees. This is also the Damietta project, where you can see tens of thousands of small carpenting places, and the good thing that they are cooperating with each other. To give example, nobody in Damietta is making the whole dining room. Somebody is an expert and specialized to make a good chair, another for a good table, a third for a good attic, and so on. So it's wonderful, really, that you have this sort of cooperation between different persons in the same industry, and we are proud of the furniture in Damietta. We are proud of the industry of sweets, the industry of fishery, the industry of tourism. All these things you can find in one place like Damietta.
Yeah.
So I think that there are other people. Asyut is another example, and now we want to concentrate on the marginalized areas, whether in Upper Egypt, in Sinai, in the western part of Egypt also. There are a lot of opportunities.
No marginalized areas anymore. We do not have this word anymore. Sir, since you mentioned Sinai, this was going to be my last question. Sinai is is having, I think it has a special place, or a special position in the hearts and minds of all Egyptians. When we say Sinai, you know, we are very emotional and passionate when it comes to Sinai.
Yes,
And
of
today,
course.
Sinai is part and parcel of the new republic, the new Sinai. And we said it before, we are fighting terrorism and we conquered terrorism with both the security solution, of course, our great heroes of the security personnel, whether from the army or police, and the development of Sinai. How do you see having both also hand in hand on equal foot?
Of course, we are proud of what is happening in Sinai in the tourism sector. Sharm el-Sheikh now is becoming the city of conferences all over the world. And of course, Nuweiba or Taba or other cities. Now we are starting on different sectors, whether it is industry, it is agriculture, huge opportunities for new fields of agriculture. And Sinai will be another story of success. And by the way, it protects our security, because as much as we put people in Sinai, it means that we are going for peace, not for war at all.
Sure.
And developing this idea, I think we shall get good results for our economy, and especially for the people of Sinai also.
Yes.
This is another story of success, and we insist to make it a good story, because plenty of our children sacrifice their lives to defend Sinai during the wars, and now we are sacrificing all whatever it needs Sinai in order to develop it and make it another big story of success.
Yes. Well, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you very much for your input, sir. Have a very good day. You are always an added value to our program. Thank you very much, sir.